Hello everyone, welcome to the InStyle Knitting Studio. In this lesson, we will learn to close a 2x2 ribbing with a needle. I will be closing the neckline. I have circular needles. Leave a fairly long piece of yarn. I usually measure out yarn about 4 times longer than the neckline itself, and thread it into the needle. What is the essence of closing this way? We will close 2 knit stitches and then 2 purl stitches, that is, in pairs. For example, we are closing 2 knit stitches, picking up the stitch that is behind on the right needle here first, and then picking up the stitch on the left needle. The same goes for purl stitches. First here, then here, that is, in pairs. I want to say right away that I knitted the knit stitches through the front loop, classic knit stitches, and I knitted the purl stitches through the back loop. As grandmother stitches, I knitted the ribbing in the round. At the beginning of the row, we have 2 knit stitches here, so now we will insert the needle with the yarn into the first knit stitch. This is only done at the beginning of the row, with a movement from right to left, like this. And by the way, I remembered this and will tell you, maybe it will help you remember too. Look, when inserting the needle into the knit stitch like this, from the top, I remembered that I am inserting the needle into the stitch, but if I pull the needle out like this, it's as if I am pulling out of the stitch. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but that's how I remembered it. So, at the beginning of the row, we insert the needle from right to left into the first knit stitch, as if catching the right half of the stitch. For me, as I remembered, as I told you, this is like pulling out of the stitch. We pulled it through and now we drop that knit stitch from the left needle. Pull it tight, and after 1 knit stitch, we will start sewing in pairs, so. Let's move to the purl stitches. We will sew this purl stitch and this one. First we insert the needle into the stitch on the right needle. Then we insert the needle into the stitch on the left needle. I moved the right needle closer. This is to make it easier for me to sew. To knit the purl stitches, we will work behind the fabric. That is, I turn the fabric like this. Then, I look for my purl stitches. On the reverse side they will of course be knit stitches. This purl here is knit on this side. Also, this first purl here is knit as well. I insert the needle first. As if making an entry into this knit stitch, here it is turned like this. I insert into this stitch, into the left wall. We skip this first stitch and take the purl. Here, it is a knit stitch. I insert the needle like this, already through the right half stitch, as if exiting the stitch. I pull the thread through both purl stitches, pulled it through. Now we drop this purl from the needle. But we don't drop this one yet. We still have this knit stitch not sewn. Now we will sew 2 knit stitches. So, this one is not sewn, we take the previous one, which is sewn this one. To sew the knit stitches, we will work in front of the fabric. We will also insert a needle from right to left. First, entering the stitch. Here is our knit stitch. We enter it with a motion from right to left through the left half stitch, and here, it is already like exiting the stitch. So, the needle is directed here, through the right half stitch. Moving from right to left through both of these stitches. We pull our thread and drop this knit and this next purl. Since we have already sewn it, we drop 2 stitches and pull the thread. We do not pull too tight, but we also do not leave it loose. It is important to tighten it correctly. Now we will be sewing 2 pearls. This one that we have already sewn here, and the next one, which is not sewn on the left needle. So, if we are sewing a pearl, we turn the work and look for those 2 stitches from the back. They are front stitches here. Therefore, the sewn stitch is a front stitch. Here it is. We look for it right here. We poke around here and we are looking specifically for that wall. We need to find that stitch. Here it is. We insert the needle into the stitch. We catch it by the left wall with a movement from right to left, and the next pearl, which is front here. We basically pull the needle out of the stitch right here behind the right half stitch. This way we pull the thread. We have knitted 2 pearls. We move to the front side. Now we sew 2 front stitches. So, we look for the sewn stitch. Here it is, and here is the other one. Therefore we skip 1 pearl. We sew this one and this front stitch. Now, to sew the front stitches, we work in front of the fabric. Yes, with a movement from right to left. We also look for a front stitch here. Here it is tightened. The very top half stitch, here it is. In other words, you will poke around here with the needle, you will find this specific stitch. And we enter the stitch by the left wall, with a movement from right to left. Then we come out of this stitch behind the right wall, like this. Do not drop it yet, because we have 1 skipped pearl that is not sewn. We tighten the thread, and drop 2 stitches from the left needle. They are already sewn. Now we move to the pearl side. Since we will be sewing pearls now, by the way, this needle can be pushed a little aside, because we no longer need to return here and sew these loops. Now we need to sew 2 pearl stitches. This one that we just sewed, and this next one. We skip 1 knit stitch. We turn to the pearl side. We find this pearl stitch. We enter the stitch like this, from top to bottom. Yes, behind the left leg of the stitch. And we exit the stitch like this, behind the right leg of the stitch. We pull the yarn tight and do not drop it from the left needle yet. So after this, what do? We sew 2 knit stitches, this one that we skipped, and the previous one, which is tightened here. We wiggle our stitches a little with the needle, and find exactly this stitch behind the left leg. We enter the stitch like this, behind the right leg, exit the stitch. We pull it through, drop this knit stitch and the already worked pearl from the left needle. Dropped, and now we move to the pearl side. For the pearl stitches, we need to sew this pearl and the one we already sewed. Here they are close to each other. We pick up like this, behind the left leg. Like entering a stitch, and exiting a stitch, behind the right leg. We pull the yarn through and drop the stitch from the left needle. We sewed the pearls, now we sew the knits, this one that we sewed and this one that has not been worked yet on the left needle. So we look for entry into the stitch. Here is our leg of the stitch, like this, and exit like this. We pull it tight and drop it from the needle. We pulled through, now we move to the pearl stitches. This one that we have sewn and this one, so we move to that side. We are looking for the pearl stitch here. The text for processing. Here we have the knit stitch. Here it is twisted, tightened. Now we pull all the threads and find our stitch, the loop. Here it is. Let's go into the loop. We pick it up through the left wall from right to left. Here's the purl stitch. Exit the loop through the right wall. For now, do not drop it. Since we missed one stitch here, which needs to be stitched, we tightened it. Now we move to the knit stitches. Here's our unstitched knit and the previous knit. Let's find it. It has tightened. Now we go into the loop. Through the left wall and exit from the loop through the right wall. That's it. We pull the yarn and drop 2 stitches from the left needle, all knit stitches. We stitched. Now we stitch the purl stitches. This one and the previous one which we already stitched. Here is the purl stitch. Enter the loop and exit. We pull and can drop this stitch. We tighten it. Now we move to the knit stitches. This knit stitch and the previous one, which we have already stitched. Let's stitch them, then we switch to the purl stitches. All similarly by the same principle. I hope you understand. Let's stitch and then look at it as a whole, how it looks. We have reached the beginning of the row. Here I have stitched 2 knit stitches. Next I stitch 2 purl stitches. That is, I insert the needle into the stitches we have already stitched, 2 purl stitches. And then it is possible to stitch a bit further so that everything is nicely closed here. 2 knit stitches. Here is everything. We have finished the closure and are now turning to the wrong side. We pull out our thread and just hide it. We cut the thread, and our closure is ready. By the way, there is one more point. If you are sewing, for example, 2 knit stitches, the needle goes towards you, which means to the front side. And if you are sewing 2 purl stitches, the needle goes away from you, which means to the wrong side. And the working thread, by the way, should always be on the right. I didn't mention this during the sewing process, so I'm saying it now. So this is how the closure turns out. The closure is quite elastic. It stretches well, but at the same time holds its shape excellently. Thank you friends for watching. I hope everything was clear to you. If not, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I wish you easy